it's Dr. Collado. I hope everyone is well. And today I want to talk about a topic that's been on my mind for days after one of my colleagues posted on Facebook about it. And that is the idea of real language. You know, when it comes to world language education, we are trained and encouraged to create cultural, authentic experience for our students so that it is engaging and the skills that they develop in our classroom are real world are within real world context. But there was an interesting discussion about this because some ideas are that vocabulary words such as days of the month or months of the year, days of the week are not real language or not real talk. So I couldn't help to be part of the conversation. But still, I want to talk about this because I think it's important. In my years in teaching Spanish, when it comes to providing an authentic experience and making the language real for the students, I start by giving them or setting up a real Spanish classroom experience. So I grew up in Puerto Rico. I went to school there, so my experience was real, and I go by that to a certain extent. Of course, given the world that we live in and the times, I update things. But when they come into a classroom, I want them to have a real classroom experience. And in a real classroom experience, there are procedures and there are routines that are part of the school environment, and that is real for students. The students in Spanish-speaking countries also have procedures and routines within a classroom and some habits like writing the date or taking notes, greeting one another, celebrating their birthdays. That is part of student life, so that is real. I don't think we should shy away from engaging in those activities in the target language as part of their experience. That is a real experience. I was also thinking how, as an English language learner, one of the best skills that I have is spelling, the spelling of the alphabet in English, because to this point still I will mispronounce a word, and what do? When people do not understand what I'm saying? I spell it out. And what happens when I don't understand when someone is saying something or saying a word, I say, can you please spell it for me? And because I know the alphabet. So I've been criticized many times for doing spelling quizzes. It's not all that I do, but I would give dictados, spelling quizzes. And this is like an old-fashioned assessment. But the reason why I do it is because of that. It helps in reviewing the alphabet. I don't think it's something that you learn once and then that's it, you remember forever. You have to practice. And in my experience as an English language learner, English is my second language, it is one skill that I have to use. Just like when I am writing, whether in English or in Spanish, sometimes I forget how to spell a word. What do? I go on Google. Either Google Translate or just start typing the word, and there it goes, so I double check. Or maybe one of those grammar checkers. I use them as a writer. That is a real experience for me, so I don't think that I need to shy away from that and tell the students not to do that in the classroom, because that's part of using a language. One of the things that I always remember when I worked in an urban setting was that I used to have this traveling unit that was across the board, that was part of the curriculum. And some students would say to me, why am I learning about traveling to Spain? I'm never gonna travel. Like, that was completely off the radar. These students, some of these students had such struggles at home that the last thing in their minds was to travel, let alone travel to Europe. And in my effort to teach the language and engage them in the language, I couldn't get to them because I couldn't connect, because that was not possible for them. And yes, we could argue that I could make it possible for them and motivate them so much that that they could get into it and dream of traveling to a Spanish-speaking country. And when you are overwhelmed by so many issues, financial, family, who knows, right? The list goes on and on. It's very hard for us to get there sometimes. So what's real for this type of students? Well, perhaps working on vocabulary, reading, developing reading skills, things that will help them even learn more vocabulary in English, strengthen their skills, be able to recognize words when they read newspapers or books. Maybe when they're taking a test, they know how to break down words and figure out the meaning of words just by the roots of the words and things like that. Skills that they can use that are academic skills, because maybe their hope and dream is to go to college and maybe, help raise, the financial status of the family, and eventually they can travel. So again, it's important that we know our students, that we know our audience. I'll give you another example. Maybe your group of students are students that are financially privileged, and their experience with people that come from Spanish countries is because they are the service providers. They're cooks, the cleaning people, the gardeners, and there's very little I can do about that. These are jobs that these people have accepted, whether they perpetuate labels or not, that's another story. But for these students, learning foods or vocabulary words that have to do with food has little to do with going to a restaurant or going to the supermarket, because maybe they don't go to the supermarket, but a lot to do with engaging in a conversation with their cook and saying, may I have chicken on Thursday? Por favor, quiero pollo el jueves y pescado el viernes. And what I can do as a teacher, knowing that, is help strengthen that relationship, help that student develop a respect, a bond, communicate with that service provider who may know English but will appreciate and will probably enjoy speaking in Spanish with their family that they work for. That is the reality. So for this student, learning vocabulary words that have to do with food to communicate with their cook is real language, is a real experience. And so the point of this post today is for us to think of our audience, who are our students, to think twice before we decide what's real and what's not. It's not about the actual language, it's about the experiences, and we need to know our students. We have a unique opportunity as world language teachers to make a difference in the lives of these students and in the Spanish-speaking people in the lives of these students. But we are not going to be able to do that if we don't tap into, what the case is, what their experiences are. So I encourage you to think about this, to reflect upon your practices. It's good to follow research-based pedagogy, examples, units, all of that is really good, but we are the real researchers. We are the ones that are every single day working directly with our students. We know, or we have the opportunity to really get to know them and know what works best. Let's take advantage of that. Let's think and proceed accordingly. Thank you. Bye-bye.